And there's been lots of times actually that I've said, I can't do this anymore. Like, we're going to have to figure something else out because this is just not working. It's affecting our relationship too much. Like, I resent you. Like, there was a lot of things. Do you ever regret going in business together? That's a good one.
You can go first.
Do I regret it? I never regret it, like truly regret it. But there's many times, and it happens less frequently now, but it still does happen, where I repeat over and over and over and over again to myself out loud, I fucking hate working with you. I fucking hate working with you. I fucking hate working with you. Because it is so hard to work together, and we just have such strong personalities. We see things very differently with the business, you know, like we work on different sides of the business, but we do have to collaborate in ways that are important for like the strategic growth of the business, like the end goal that we want to reach with the business, you know, decisions that we have to make about running the business. And I get really frustrated sometimes because, Max is just a hard ass. I mean, kind of, you know, like
Says you.
He's such, I know, but like,
At least but I'm a hard ass about something.
The thing is this, if it wasn't this is what I think, you know, part of the question kind of references is like, I probably wouldn't take things nearly as personal if it wasn't my husband that I had, you know, like
correct.
If Bree was my business partner and knew everything that Max knew, I don't think I would get my feelings hurt, or I would feel like, that he's like purposefully like trying to like talk down to me or like squash my ideas or not take my opinion into account like enough, because he makes the final decisions on a lot of things. Like, he is the CEO and I am not suited to run the business, and like that gets proven time and time and time and time again. I am a founder. Like, that's who I am. Like, I'm not good at managing people. I can be good at it if that's what I need to do, but like, I don't want to do it. You know, I'm emotional. Like, I am extremely passionate, and that's not the best like person to be the leader of the business. Like, you need someone who's not emotional, that's like very even keeled and doesn't get like emotionally tied to things. Max is really good with, you know, being professional. Sometimes I just like fuck this, you know. I remind myself of my father-in-law sometimes. My father-in-law is also an entrepreneur. Yeah. His name's Ernie. And sometimes I just like get out of work some days. Like the other day I said to you, I was like, I felt like Ernie Anderson today. Just like, we're entrepreneurs and we're passionate and we're really good at what we do, but like, we're not the best with like managing, I don't know, like not like managing emotions, but like we take things personal, you know, like, and we're just like, I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard. Like working with your husband, it's really hard running a business. But I feel like now we're like probably 5 years into like really working together full time.
And not even 4 years.
4, yeah.
4
so
years.
so now I feel
Or
like
is it 5?
it's
Sorry,
taken 4 or 5 years, but like I do feel like I'm at a point now where I'm okay with not being like at the helm 100%. Like I'm okay with just like owning my role in the company. And like there was definitely a period where I was kind of handing over things to Max and like saying, I'm going to take a step back. I'm not going to be the one that's in charge. I'm not going to run the company anymore. Like I'm going to work on just like creative coaching, product development, these things that like I should be really doing because that's what I'm best suited to do. And it was just so hard for me to just like hand over the reins, you know, like because it's my baby. And I think I went through like this like little like depression almost where I was like crying a lot. And I just like didn't feel like a sense of like, I'm like, who am I if I'm not the head bitch in charge? Like, I don't even know who I am at work if that's not who, like what I'm doing, you know? And I was kind of like, why do I even work here? Like, it's like so crazy to think about now. Cause like I'm the face of the brand. I created all these things. So like, it's it's really important for me to be here. But I just like had this time period where I was like, why don't I just like step away and retire and only like shoot the ads and stuff and just like not even do anything? Cause like, what good am I here if I'm not like running everything? Like, and I had these like crazy thoughts where I would get like so upset. I would like cry about it like every day practically. And it took me like months to like get to the point where I felt comfortable in owning the role of which I should be in the company, which is not CEO. And it is more of like, you know, I guess titles I think are so dumb. That doesn't really matter. But like working just more with like optimizing, coaching, content, creative, and product development. That's what I need to be doing. That's like and that's what I want to be doing too. But it was just really scary for me to like hand it over. And it's like crazy. It's like so dumb to think about because I'm like handing it over to my husband. It's not like I'm like handing over ownership to like some outside party, which like I think it would be really, really hard to do. Like, you know, Allie Webb is the founder of Drybar and like a personal friend of mine. And she had to do that at a certain point where like her brother and her husband at the time were sort of all running things. And it got so big that they hired like an outside CEO to come in and like run things. And she had to like relinquish like all this like control and decision making. And I think it's very normal for that transitional period to be very difficult for founders because it's like your baby, you know, it's like you gave birth to this like thing that means so much to you and you just want to like protect it and make sure nothing happens to it. But if you do that for too long, you suffocate it, you know, and you like limit and stunt its growth. And I knew that we were at the point where like I was just not suited to grow. Like, it got too big for me to like be the person to do it anymore. So I handed it over to you and it was really hard. And I never have regretted working with you. It's just been really, really, really difficult at times. And there's been lots of times actually that I've said, I can't do this anymore. Like we're going to have to figure something else out because this is just not working. It's affecting our relationship too much. Like I resent you. Like there was a lot of things, you know, but I feel like now we're in like a much better place with it. It's like everything. It's like seasons of your relationship go through good and bad and whatever. And I think a working relationship like we have, it's the same. Like it's never going to be like all rainbows and lollipops and it's like a roller coaster or it goes around in seasons or however you want to look at it. But, you know, I think now we've gotten to a good place where it's like, I'm okay with saying like, I'm not the boss. I'm not in charge of that. Like Max handles it. So like, go find him. And now I just need everyone that works for me to understand when I say I'm not in charge of that, it really means I'm not in charge of that. So I can't help you here. Go into Max, you know, but what do you think?
Yeah.
Do you ever regret coming on board and doing this?
Yeah, I mean, many times over the last 12 months specifically have been very challenging.
Can you speak up a little bit? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I think it was funny. So you were asking me what annoyed me. And I was able to find the thread that I kept because I thought I didn't keep it under your name. I kept it under, it's called cognitive dissonance. So it's like, you know, whatever, there's a clear disconnection. And all of those examples are like really relevant to like this conversation.
Oh, okay.
Like, and that's like, what's extremely annoying is like just to answer that question is like when you're saying one thing and acting a totally different way.
Yeah.
And I think this last 12 months for you has been a really huge period of growth that, you know, when you look at like, you know, any one instance, you're like, you know, I don't know if we're going to make it through this. Like, this is like a very challenging piece. And at the end you come out and you're like, oh no, this is like, we got this. This is dumb. Like, this is not something we should have been arguing over because at the end of the day, like you're doing what you want to do. I'm doing what I want to do. And like, I think when the business was changing or coming down off of COVID, it was like, it's a very challenging time. Like, and that I was more, for me, it was like you were more, you know, hostile or adversarial. And I was like more convinced that this is what I'm built for this. Like,
yeah, he really
I'm made for these periods. Like, and it's more so, and it's not that like I'm better than you. It's just that we have extremely complementary skill sets.
You're better suited to be doing what you're doing than I am. For
correct.
Sure.
But yeah, just like you're better suited to be doing what you do, like me. But like that, and to me, it's like that's the entire point, right, of a team. Is like if we had the same qualities and characteristics and skill sets, then we would be a good team.
Yeah.
Right. But if we have very complementary skill sets, so it's like it's cycles. So, I think we're at a really good spot now, and there's just a lot of stuff to be excited about. Like, and not just like now. It's interesting because I was thinking like Kevin Plank, the founder of Under Armour. We were chatting about him earlier, and he had this saying that he was like, we have yet to create our like defining product, and it's like, and like I think if you hear that, you're like, well, no, you already created it. Like, there's zero chance you're going to recreate like what you did right now with spandex and polyester and defining
that original garment category. Was like the thing.
Yeah. So there's zero chance you do that again. Yeah. But it's the mindset I understand, right? Because it's like, hey, I'm going to continue to kind of build these best in class things and just continue to push the envelope and get better and better and better. And that to me is like what's most exciting. It's like it makes the stuff we're working on, like executing on today. It's like, this is like really boring because like, look at what it's going to look like next year. Like in January of next year, it's like, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, and it's a lot of hard work that goes into getting to that point.
It is.
It's a lot of failure too. That's what I think people don't realize. And that was probably really frustrating. It's like, you're like, your ideas aren't all like good all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I know. It's the way ideas work. Like, you're going to miss a lot of them. It's like, it's like be mad at someone because they're not batting 500 in the MLB. It's like, well, that's not really the way statistics work in the sport.
Yeah.
So
no, it is true. I mean, we there's a lot of failures that come along with like owning our business and creating like all these things that don't really exist in industries that we are in the way that we are putting them out there. And it's so much pressure to be the person that's like Max, like to be the person that's really in charge of making final decisions and all that stuff. Like, it will like, for me, I may, it's because I'm a woman, maybe it's because it's just not my skill set, or I just take things too personally, or I'm too close to it because I created it, or started it or whatever. But I feel like it was like taking years off my life. Like the amount of pressure that like I felt that like when I was more like in charge is like, it can like kill a person. Like for sure probably took years off my life, and since I've like accepted like stepping back in a way and just like working on the things that I'm best suited to work on, it's really been so freeing and so good for like stress levels and stuff, because that pressure is like off of me. It's like I don't think I could ever describe what it feels like to need to like provide a certain level of like success or revenue or whatever, because like you have people working for you and you don't want to let them down and you want to take care of them and you want to have you have this mission in your head about like helping people, making things accessible for people and like giving a certain experience to people. Like, God, it is so much pressure. It's like 1,000 pounds on your chest, like every day. So for me, I personally, like, it's been so nice to just offload that pressure onto Max. And not because I want him to feel that way, but because he handles it differently than me. So like he can sort of carry that weight without letting it like eat him alive. And for me, it was like eating me alive. And it was just too much. Like, it was just too much. So I'm so thankful that you are, so complimentary to what I can offer, because it was definitely needed. It just took me a really long time to come around the corner and be like, okay, I can do this. Like, here are the reins. You know what I mean?
And I think that's to be expected.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, and I always had confidence the whole way, where it's like she's going to wake up one day and see that this is as obvious as anyone else viewing this. Right. And then I think you realize your emotion. And I think the emotions are, a dual-edged sword, right? Because you want to be able to channel them, right? I think a lot of startup founders are highly emotional. And you're generally the person that starts it up is not the person that gets to 0 to 1 is not the person who gets to 1 to 5 or 5 to 10.
Yeah.
Rarely ever.
Unless you're like Elon Musk or something.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, if you look at, just you got to play to people's strengths, right? So it's like, and I think a lot of times with people are passionate, they get focused on outcomes, not the process.
Yeah.
Because the process is everything. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And you have to be able to, if you want to make something that's scalable, repeatable, and able to be deployed across 50 or 500 people or 5,000, you need to have processes in place. So it's just, for an artistic person like yourself, that's not how your brain's wired. It's just not, right? So it's a very limiting factor in terms of like managing, but it's not a very limiting factor in terms of creativity.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, agreed. That's a good place to end. Do we have a 10:30 with Virginia?
No.
Okay. False alarm. Event notification. I'm like, oh my God, am I supposed to be in a meeting right now? All right, thanks so much for joining us, guys. If you want to see anything specific or have any questions for us, leave it in the comment section. You can subscribe. We love you guys so much. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.